Hi, I am Gargi Chakravarti from NLU Jodhpur. I'm assistant professor there. Today I am going to handle module 17, International Cyber Law of US. Previously, I've already discussed about the cyber crimes, different type of cyber crimes, specifically UK legislation. Certain things are very common also here because cyber crimes are general in nature. The definitions of all the cyber crimes are very much similar. Here also we are going to see same type of terminology. The explanation will be also same. Now we are going to talk about the perspective of US. First we need to start with why we are giving emphasis on cybercrime. The threat, how US is handling cyber crimes, why there is a consensus regarding the cybercrime, what's the way out they are thinking to combat with that. So we are going through all these things throughout this model. FBI Director James P. Comey said at a recent security conference, the United States faces real cybersecurity threats from criminals, terrorists, spies and malicious cyber actors. With the advancement of technology, the vulnerability towards cybercrime is increased day by day. Financial agencies, government agencies and individual persons are at risk for cybercrime. So, US Secret Service has reported a marked increase in the quality, quantity and complexity of cybercrimes, targeting both private industry and critical infrastructure. According to William Noonan, Deputy Special Agent in charge of the US Secret Service Criminal Investigation Division, this is the outrage of the cyber crimes which is hampering not only the different types of agencies but individual as a whole. So 2014 Global Economic Crime Survey found that 7% of US organization lost $1 million or more due to cyber crimes incidents in 2013, compared with 3% of global organization. Furthermore, 90% of US entities reported financial losses, $50,000 to $1 million, compared with 8% of worldwide respondents. If we start with the history of cybercrime in US, we can see that early days hackers in US were not technically criminal. So there is a division of two types of hackers. Actually there are two words, hackers and crackers. It's not necessary that hackers always connote a negative meaning. Early days hackers in US divided into two. One is white hat hackers and one is black hat hackers. White hat hackers, basically they are ethical hacker. They're actually into the technological advancement. They used to do the reverse engineering, or they used to hack to know, or they want to develop the security system. Until unless if anyone is not knowing what is going to happen, it's very difficult to give the proper security on that. So that is the reason in the year 1970 they have started entering into computer, hacking the computer to know how the security can be a threat. So these are the ethical hackers, white hat hackers. And not only that, for the other security reason, even the country defense reason also, they need to investigate, and for which these white hat hackers are very popular. But on the contrary, black hat hackers, they are actually, what I have said earlier, they are actually crackers. Crackers is having a very negative connotation. They actually hack with the criminal intention. Their intention behind the hacking is a very malicious intention. So this is the actual story. Now John Draper is denoted as the first official cyber criminal who had drawn attention of North American media. He was using a serial box whistle that generated a 2600 hertz tone when blown and allowed DARPA to make free phone calls, but finally he was arrested and ended in jail. But he was genius, and later on he has written the word processing system Easy Writer for IBM in 1981 for using in their personal computer. Now it is time to see the proper nature of cybercrime of modern days. As I have said, I have already discussed very vividly different examples of cybercrime. So we are going very fast, different types of cybercrimes here. Top 5 cybercrimes of US according to an analysis: tax refund fraud, corporate account takeover, identity theft, theft of sensitive data, and theft of intellectual property. Now, what is tax refund fraud? Tax refund fraud has become rampant in recent years. An article from the October 2012 issue of the Journal of Accountancy relayed a single incident where 3 defendants were charged with filing more than 5,000 false tax returns using the social security number of deceased taxpayer to claim fraudulent refunds of about 14 million. So it is related with identity theft also. Already died person, they just had the identity of those and they utilized that and they got the tax refund, and this is the number 5,000 false tax refunds, and the total amount is 14 million. So we can see the financial crime with the identity theft. A second incident is related with US Treasury Inspector General of Tax Administration's report that suggests that IRS failed to notice 1.5 million tax returns associated with. This is also potentially identity theft related. Fraudulent tax refunds is excess of 5.2 billion from the tax 2011 taxation. So this is the overall fraud utilizing the cyberspace by the cyber criminals. Now, corporate account takeover. Cyber criminals engaging in the activity used to hack victims' financial banking credentials, use software to hijack one of its computer remotely and steal funds from their entity bank account, often costing the entity thousands of dollars. So remotely anyone handling anyone else's laptop or desktop, getting all the required credentials from that particular computer and utilized it to snatch the fund, and it is also thousands of dollars related with that. One incident just I want to say, David Nensel, FDIC cyber fraud and financial crime section specialist, small and mid-sized business and their financial institutions suffered about $120 million in loss due to electronic fund transfer fraud in the third quarter of 2009, up from about 85 million from 2 years earlier. According to FBI November 2009, losses alone 100 million. So from all these incidents we can get that what is the impact of the financial cybercrime and their intention behind it. It's a loss of money and loss of resources from government agencies, from private entity, from public entities. We have already discussed thoroughly the identity theft. Even just now I have give the reference how the identity theft is utilized for the cybercrime. It's very simple that I am A, now someone B is try to utilize my identity, my photographs, my personal details, and B is taking advantage of that. Maybe it is related with financial crime, maybe it is related with some other thing, to make a credit card, to get a mobile connection, to utilize for the bank account. I mean any sort of crime, but the face is mine, though I don't know, I am not at all related with, and B is totally utilizing my identity for that reason. So I am also in threat and I am losing the money, and maybe through my face, good lot of people are losing the money. This is the point of identity theft. Now, we have also already told this, then also I am just giving some example, that opening a line of credit, purchasing goods or services, renting or buying a house or apartment, receiving medical care, obtaining employment, committing traffic infraction, wage related fraud. So, due to identity theft Resource Center identify theft complaints ranked first in 2012 in the Federal Trade Commission FTC list of complaints, with a 32% increase over 2011. Total 11.6 million victims in the United States in 2011. So, we can see the vigorousness or vastness of the identity theft. Now, theft of sensitive data. Obviously, when anyone is theft the identity, obviously with that they are theft the sensitive data also. Without data there is no utilization of that identity theft. So, sensitive data such as unencrypted credit card information stored by a business or any person, any trade secret, resource code, source code, customer information, employee records, hospital records. In this manner, cyber criminals are snatching or collecting the sensitive data to utilize later on. This cybercrime overlaps with previous discussion of personally identifiable invention, identity theft and security breaches. The cost to victims of this type of cybercrime can be high and involve both public image damage and as well as financial costs related to loss of business, legal fees and increasing security measures. Now, there are certain case scenario of sensitive data theft in US. The incident occurred in 2012 at the South Carolina Department of Revenue that illustrate this cybercrime. Cybercriminals broke into the department's computer system and stole 3.6 million social security numbers. And in US, social security number is very important. Social, through that one number, where everything is controlled, their bank account, their employment, their passport status, their tax, each and everything is controlled by one number. And through that one number, anyone can get all the history related with that person. So, think about the seriousness and importance of having the cyber security number. And they have stole 3.6 million social security number and 387,000 credit and debit cards number. The breach, which began in last August, was not discovered until October 10. And the problem is, then and there they cannot find out what actually happened. So, later on they realized, at that time cyber criminals with the sensitive data already proceed their crimes and they have already done the substantial damage to the society. The cyber criminal used a foreign internet address which is common to this type of crime. In September, the intruder conducted several attacks and gained unauthorized access to tax return dating back to 1998. According to department officials, the system was secured on October 20. So, as I have said, they realized later on and already that damage happened. Now, theft of intellectual property. Someone else very extensively deal with that. Just I want to mention, now intellectual property and cyberspace is having a good interface, because online we can have good lot of copyrighted material like music, movies, books. So, if the creators, these creations is taken someone or tampered or without paying properly, they utilized it, obviously the creator is not getting incentive throughout that. Yes, I admit that access to knowledge or access to information is the questions, but at what cost, under what circumstances, we need to consider that also. It is, if it is not for the academic purpose, if it is not for the research purpose, just based on that, I mean giving that excuse and someone is stealing someone else's creation, it is a serious injury to the financial benefit of that person. So, intellectual property theft is very complicated by state sponsored hacking, especially China. According to a New York Times article, Chinese hackers have stolen product blueprints, manufacturing plans, clinical trial result, pricing documents, negotiation strategies, so other proprietary information from a large number of commercial entities in the United States. So, it is not related with only the creation like movies, books or music, it is related with serious business. So, based on anyone else idea, anyone else strategies, anyone else is trying to gain something. According to the FBI, preventing intellectual property theft is a priority for its criminal investigation program. More commonly, cyber criminals access entertainment, intellectual property such as movies, music and books. They try to protect that. Eventually, now we can see when anyone is going for the undue download, there is a notification from DMCA, Digital Millennium Copyright Act. So, they can indicate you are not allowed to do so because it is coming under the illegal activities. I have already discussed the denial of service attack and distributor denial of service attacks in the previous module, module 16 in details. So, I am not going to details, please go through those lectures and slides, but just briefly I am telling that denial of service attack is just barring anyone to get the service uninterrupted. Through the Trojan horse or malicious content, they just interrupt any smooth proceedings. Maybe it is related, mostly it is related with business conferences, video conferences, any discussion. So, they are just popping up with I mean erratic messages, or they just create a number of users which is not allowed. So, they are interrupting the business communications, which is very much needed for the business house for their own development. So, there are certain examples I have cite here, that according to the recent report in New York World, several online gambling sites are attacked in January 2014 by DDoS, distributed DOS, which is using a new type of assault called New York Times protocol amplification attack. The criminals exploit the publicly accessible NTP servers for accomplishment of this kind of attack. NTP servers are manipulated to produce and attack traffic for some specific target. In the year 2012, all major banks and other financial companies in US were attacked by DDoS. Victims corporations included Bank of America, Wells Fargo, US Bank, JP Morgan Chase, SunTrust, PNC Financial Services, Regions Financial and Capital One. The attacks have effectively cut bank customers off from online services for extended periods. Now come to the cyber terrorism. We know 2001 incident, and US is now stating that this is a part of cyber terrorism. 2001, we know that World Trade Center attack by terrorists. So, in the year 2001, US faced a vigorous terrorist attack. It's a very symbolic terrorist attack. Till now, we used to remember. We try to combat with the terrorism, and this is the one important incident. So, after that, there is another apprehension of attack, that is the anthrax attack, when the spores of anthrax had been sent by post with intention of spread of anthrax disease in the country. So, bioweapon, bioterrorism and as well as terrorism related with the cybercrime is now very much prominent in today's world. Fraud by virus attack. In January 2012, the Citadel Trojan virus had been introduced in the mobile channel. The Citadel Trojan was one of the most advanced Trojans of commercial banking system. It was programmed to utilize the mobile channel and for cross-channel attack, through which criminals could overcome the mobile-based out-of-band authentication, such as one-time password which is given to the consumer while doing the online payment. So, we have a best security through the one time password. So, we are thinking no password is stored and they cannot utilize it. Even they are taking the cookies, then also they cannot utilize it, because I am getting a new one, at that time it will be utilized. But here the program is such a manner they can tamper that also. So, one time password is also not the safe. So, as a result of the Trojan attack, the criminal get access to the user's banking account details and can interfere or manipulate their transactions. Now, cyber stalking. I have said earlier also, cyber stalking is a very serious offense, because cyber stalking is mostly related with the teenagers, mostly related with the very young persons, maybe just employed or the adolescent even. So, it is a very much depressing type of cyber crime. Sometimes it indulge suicide, sometimes it indulge the psychological disorder. So, cyber stalking is very important to know. Cyber stalking involves following a person movements across the internet by posting messages on the bulletin board frequented by the victim, entering the chat room frequented by a victims, constantly bombarding the victim with emails, etc. One incident I want to say regarding cyber stalking. On the bulletin board, someone one photograph they have posted with the phone number and with the details. That lady start getting emails and in number of phone calls. It was written that I am freely available. Think about the mental trauma from her side, how she was humiliated by good lot of people. So, this is the one incident which is very much important to know, and the intention to harass any people. So, knowing the telephone number and address and email address, anyone if follow one person and utilize all this information in this manner, it can be dangerous for any private entity. Now, new technologies in cyber world. Cloud computing. Cloud computing is the use of computing services over the internet. Cloud computing allows the individuals and the business houses to use the software as well as hardware managed by third parties at a remote location for storage of data. It does also allows access to data from anywhere in the world where network connectivity is available. In a simpler language, if I give the example of the cloud computing, it is one-line file storage like Google Drive, social networking sites such as Facebook or webmail or online business application, characterized of cloud computing in the on-demand services, board network information access, resource pooling and huge flexibility. So, anyone can, any group can formulate it, they can interact with each other, they can share the information, they can upload their files, their reports, and they can develop their business based on the different parties, and it is controlled by someone else and it is available online somewhere else. But unfortunately, this flexibility and process of sharing of resources and services made this cloud computing a favorite space for highly automated cybercrime. Criminals don't need to do much with the necessary information on the victim's computer. Example, highly sophisticated system has been created for bank fraud. It starts with a phishing email, which phishing also I have discussed thoroughly, that they used to send a link to through the email. Whenever we click that particular email, they can get all the information from the laptop or desktop, from the computer. It's not like that. I mean, now we cannot restrict ourselves through the laptop or desktop. It is the all sophisticated gadgets. Even smartphone is just a, or tab is just a synonymous to the laptop or desktop. So, if the link is clicked, a Trojan or the malware downloaded into the victim's computer, and they can utilize it for the online money transfer, money usually transferred to the criminal's account. So this is the effect of the phishing. Now encryption. Encryption is the one process for the secured thing. I mean, it's a password secure thing. So it is encrypted. That is why it is secured. It is a, I mean, like a box. We have under lock and key, we are putting something and we are keeping the key with me. So anyone, until unless it is not broke by the hammer, anyone cannot get the things inside the box. This is a very simpler explanation of the encryption. But even that security can be broke by anyone. It is done by encoding of the message or documents. Encoding process is used to use the encryption algorithm and generates ciphertext. Encryption algorithm uses an encryption key which is required for the decryption, and hence only authorized person can decrypt it, the message. But the hacker, they are technologically so much advanced, so they can get the key easily and they can decrypt the encrypted data also. So this technologically advancement is in one hand boon for us, in one hand a very much curse for us. So transmitting data between location or within research team can be a challenge for the data management infrastructure. Data encryption will remain data security during transmission, should be used when sending disclosive informations. So in an era of large scale data collection, transferring large files can be challenged. Third party commercial file sharing service exists to facilitate the movement of files. So however, services such as Google Docs, Dropbox are not necessarily permanent or secure now. So anyone wherever in the world can decrypt that thing, can utilize all the sensitive data through the decryption. So the potential violation of UK law, particularly in relation to the UK Data Protection Act, which states data should not be transferred to other countries without adequate protection. But there is no need of, I mean, there is no need of bona fide transferring to the other country. From the other country also decryption can happen. A Dropbox service can be safe solution for transferring large data files if it is managed and controlled by the responsible institution. For example, the UK Data Archive recommends data deposit from researchers and made via the University of Essex sent to the Dropbox service with data files containing sensitive or personal information encrypted before submission. The encryption process in such a way, maybe very soon the hackers or the crackers can get key of that also, because the regulation on cyber security increasing and obviously the cyber criminals are also advancing themselves side by side. So Internet of Things. The Internet of Things is the series of interconnections of unique computing device. This computing device exists within the internet infrastructure. So from remote, I am controlling my washing machine, I am controlling my all electronic devices, my car, my security locker at my room, even the farming. This is the Internet of Things. Means my other devices remotely I am controlling through the internet. So IoT covers various protocols, domains and applications and expected to provide such connectivity which can go beyond machine to machine communication. Various devices can be manufactured by using this technology, as I have said, that built-in sensors, thermostat, security cameras, gaming consoles, biochip transporter, all these things. To make these devices more environment friendly, low energy radios are used for the connectivity with the internet. On one hand, it can produce a series of useful devices, but on the other hand, there is a possibility that it may increase IoT based cyber attacks. So in one hand, life is making very easy for us, we can control from outside and we are thinking we are having a very comfortable life, but on the other hand, we are on threat of the cyber crimes. Now next, botnets are already of major security concern. Things bots are expected to make the situation worse. From Worm Linux, Drologe is made to attack the chip of set-top boxes and security cameras, which needs to be handled carefully. So they already transmit certain type of malicious thing to get the information, and how the those information will be utilized, how those electronic gadgets which I am trying to control from outside can be tampered and utilized so malified way, we never know. So cybersecurity in US, now we get to know the vastness of the cyber crimes, now how US is thinking to give the security in cyberspace. The incremental pace of cybercrime, accelerated sophistications in the nature of cybercrime and repeated attack make the federal government urgently respond to this issue. Legislative framework has to be scrutinized and revised time to time to get proper control of cybersecurity, because it's a very changeable format. Each and every day something new is coming up, something new challenge is coming up, so we need even the country is need to respond according to that. Cybersecurity is a complex role which has to be addressed, and cybersecurity is a broad concept for which there is no agreed definition. It can be defined as approaches intended to protect information system, including technology, devices, networks, softwares, informations from various forms of attack. The concept has been considered in various ways, like the Interagency Committee of National Security System has defined it as the ability to protect or defend the use of cyberspace from the cyber attack. Cybersecurity Act, because of this reason, the Cybersecurity Act 2010 defines cybersecurity as synonymous with the information security, and information security is defined in this particular act: protecting informations and information system from unauthorized access, use, disclosure, disruption, modification or destruction in order to provide integrity, which means guarding against improper information modification, destruction, and includes ensuring information and authenticity, confidentiality, maintaining the confidentiality of the any personal data, and availability, which means ensuring timely and reliable access to and use of the information, and authentication, which means utilizing digital credentials to assure the identity of the user and validate their access. Since 1980, many statutes are adopted for cybersecurity. The Counterfeit Access Device and Computer Fraud and Abuse Act 1984, the Electronic Communications Privacy Act 1986, the Computer Security Act 1987, the Paperwork Reduction Act 1985. So all are mainly based on the security of the data and security of the technology to supervise there should not be any security violations. There are some more. The Homeland Security Act 2002, it is responsible of some cybersecurity responsibilities other than Homeland Security. The Cybersecurity Research and Development Act, which is enhancing the research and development to combat the new challenges. E-Government Act 2002, which is adopted, which is giving the guidance for the IT management professionals to make information and service available online in a protected manner to prevent cyber crimes. The Federal Information Security Management Act 2002, that is also responsible for different agencies regarding cyber security, establish a center to take care of cyber security, again reinforce the role of Secretary of Commerce responsible for the supervision of the national security standard. So all these legislative provisions in the current situation, National Security Agency is primarily responsible in US for the national cyber security, but every federal agencies are responsible for maintaining cyber security for their own information system and should have sector specific responsibility. Different sector is need a different type of concentration, different types of management. There are certain proposals for changes in legislation also, because as I have said earlier, there is a new challenge, each and every day is a new thing is coming up. So there is a need of continuous updation, continuous following of that and continuous changes. So national strategy, role of government, role of FISMA, protection of critical infrastructure like chemical, electrical, information in the industry, cost sector coordination, exposure of personal and sensitive data, misuse, theft, cybercrime offenses, penalties. So all together national security agencies with different other agencies coordinations, they are maintaining this. Now, Counterfeit Access Device and Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, it is very much obvious meaning from the act itself. So, if someone is trying to tamper the device or utilizing as a tool or as a target computer for the fraud and try to abuse that with the wrong intention, unauthorized way, there is an act to combat with that particular situation. Electronic Communication Privacy Act, it is actually dealing with balance between fundamental privacy of citizen and the need of law enforcement to intervene into the system for data protection in different electronic and telecommunication services. So, they are giving the guarantee of the privacy, and as well as for the need of the state, they are utilizing those data. So, it forbids the interception of wire, oral or electronic communication, prevents web trapping or electronic spying or disclosure of the information acquired by illegal way. It is also criminalized all unauthorized access to stored information. We have already talked about Homeland Security Act, which is actually dealing with the information security, and there is a crisis management support, technical help for the recovery also. If anything happened through the cyber attack, then Federal Information Security Management Act, it is actually giving a infrastructure to maintain the data security, data retention policy, and as well as how to manage the thing. Now, NIST on the other hand has to check the information system standard. This security standard has to be complementary with national security standard, and responsibility of endorsement of those standards is transferred from the Secretary of Commerce to the OMB. Now, a Central Federal Incident Center is established, which is to be controlled by OMB. This center is supposed to analyze incidents and provide technical assistance according to that. Cybersecurity Research and Development Act, it is a research and development unit to combat with the current challenges. So, as a whole, we have go through the different legislation where there is a need of improvement, where there is a need of addressing different types of cyber crimes, and how US having a good range of legislation to combat the very important or very serious concern like cyber crimes, how they are facing the challenge, how they are combating that challenge. US is providing all this infrastructure. So, as we have stated that the cyber crimes, it is a very dangerous, we know, because the terrorism is related with that, financial crime is related with that, sensitive data snatching is related with that, identity theft is related with that. So, vastness and importance, it is really threat for now with the advancement of the technology. So, this bunch of legislation of US, it is a good learning session for India also to develop our Information Technology Act, or to have a learning experience how we can also think or how we can develop ourselves to combat the situations of cybercrime.